Welcome back, and thanks for joining us for another episode of Mid-American Gardener. I'm your host, Tanisha Spain, and tonight we've got, of course, our expert panelists here to share their knowledge with you, and they've also brought along some great show and tells. Hopefully we'll get to some phone calls and answer some of your questions. So before we get into that, let's have them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit more about their specialty and what they're into. So Dyke, we'll start with you.
All right, my name's Dyke Barkley, and I'm from Paris, Illinois, but I teach the horticulture program down at Lakeland College in Mattoon, Illinois. I'm a plant geek, I guess, but my specialty is going to be ornamental grasses and perennials.
Okay. Next.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Nelson. I'm a horticulturalist. You can find me online at groundedandgrowing.com. I love houseplants and vegetables and pretty much general horticulture.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Kelly Alsop. I am a plant geek also, and just in case you missed it, so is Jennifer. I am a horticulture educator, and I'm based out of Bloomington, and being a plant geek, I love talking about all plants, but I do think that my specialty lies in insects.
Which go hand in hand with plants.
Absolutely.
So, nice cross-section of expertise tonight. So, as promised, we've got show and tells up first. So, Dyke, what'd you bring us?
I maybe brought more of a prop than a show and tell. I got grabbed a clump of ornamental grass. And I think what I wanted to do is answer a question that I actually got a phone call. You know how we've been getting some warm snaps? Even if you think back at Christmas when it was warm. Somebody wanted to know if it was time to go out and get started in their yard and getting everything cut back. And I think my comment or the ornamental grass, the dead part, if you can kind of picture in your mind, it's almost like straw mulch. And a lot of times when we hear about cold damage on plants, to me, the cold damage on a lot of ornamental grasses actually happens in March. It's that up and the down. So the later you can wait to cut your grasses back, they will really sometimes help with cold snaps and knocking your plants out. Out there where I am on the prairie, a lot of times it's April before I cut my grasses back. So don't get in a hurry. You're not helping. You're just opening everything up and letting the potential cold in, because we just seem to be getting a lot of up and down. So sit back, relax. It's too early to be messing in the yard.
I've heard a lot of people on the show talk about just leaving it up so that there's something visual.
Yep.
You know, you get the nice sway in the breeze. So
yeah, I think it was just somebody wanting to take advantage of a warm snap and get started. And
get
it's
out
like,
there.
Slow down. It's January.
Go take a nap.
Take a nap, read a catalog or
Clean
something.
your tools if you need to, you know, if you're just itching to get out there, but leave the grass.
But I think on the grasses, wait even later than my other perennials. I wait as late as I can, and I have much better luck.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. All right, Jennifer.
Well, my first show and tell is kind of a combo question / show and tell.
Okay.
Liz on Facebook had a question about whether there's a recipe or a treatment to spray or put on soil to treat your plants when you bring them indoors after they've been outside for the summer. So I went out in my garage and brought my two favorite things. The least toxic thing, I like to start with something that's not going to hurt my kids or pets. Insecticidal soap, and this is a concentrate, and you just mix it according to the label in a spray bottle with water. And when I bring my plants in, I do it in 2 steps. I bring everything into the garage and let it stay there for about a week, so if anything's hiding, it can kind of come out and show itself. But I give everything a spray with the insecticidal soap, and I know there's a ton of recipes online using dish soap, and while it will work, there's a risk that you'll actually burn your plant too. So this is formulated for plants. You're not going to strip all the essential waxes off the leaves and such. And it's pretty non-toxic, at least to people. It's going to kill any bugs that are there. And you have to keep repeating it after you bring it in, because it's not necessarily going to kill eggs that are present. And Kelly can fill in if I'm missing something here.
True.
But if I have, sometimes things like scale is one of those insects that kind of sneaks up on you because it tends to be the same color as the stems of the plant. This is imidacloprid, which we're kind of used to hearing about using outside, but there is a houseplant formula, and I don't know of any other company that has it formulated for houseplants, but Jim Appleby has talked about this brand before, Bonide. They have a lot of houseplant, different insecticides and whatnot. So this one, according to the size of the pot, you mix like a teaspoon in with the soil and water it in, and it's good for about 6 weeks or so. Okay. I don't use that right away. I use that if I am noticing a problem or something that is kind of like my citrus tree typically gets scale, so I will treat it with that, and it works out well.
I wish I would have. So, beginner's mistake, gnats or a
Oh.
thing. Yeah. We got it taken care of and figured out, but yeah, I fumbled the ball on that one. So, lesson learned. Treat them before you bring them in.
Right. Yep.
Yes. Just a reminder to you folks, we are live tonight, so give us a call, 333-3495 with your questions. 333-3495. Okay, what's your first show and tell?
I have 2 comments. I used to use the imidacloprid for mealybugs in the greenhouse, and it was like always my go-to. I could not control those mealybugs without this. Fungus gnats. You need to water less.
Yes.
And one of the things that when I get fungus gnats is I'll put out yellow sticky cards to trap the adults, but you have the larvae in the soil. And did you put a potato?
I did not.
So if you put a potato slice on the top of your soil, the larva will come to feed on the potato.
Oh, because it's like a root. Because they eat roots.
And so that can tell you, in a greenhouse, I was in greenhouse production before I went into extension. The fungus gnats weren't a problem. It was the fungus gnat larva eating my roots, my baby roots, my baby roots. That was the problem.
Yeah.
So that was a great way for me to indicate what my population was.
Okay. Well, noted for next time. Hopefully there isn't one.
Yes.
But thank you for that.
Oh, so I'm talking about Instagram trendy houseplants because I am on Instagram. You'll never guess what my Instagram name is. It's not
Bug Lady?
Isn't it Plant Geek or something?
It's U of I Hort Nerd.
Okay.
Ah.
Close.
Okay.
U of I Hort Nerd is my my Instagram name, but I don't have a ton of followers. I really follow a whole bunch of other people. And so, houseplants are crazy on Instagram right now, and all these new and interesting houseplants. And so it makes me lust for all these houseplants that I don't have room for, but I wanted to talk about one that is fairly new to the industry, new to the houseplant world, native to China. It is called Chinese money plant. It has these really cool circular leaves. It prefers bright, indirect light. When you're growing it, you kind of want to spin it around so it'll, have a nice little habit. It actually, I'm excited. I'm going to keep it in this pot probably until probably a year before I decide to pot it up because it's already producing little pups. These cute little baby plants that I can then just take out. And I can either put them in water like I'm showing on the screen and do water propagation where you put a node, which is where the leaf meets the stem underneath the water and roots will come out and then you pot it in the soil. Or I can transplant, if the pups do have a good root system, I can transplant them to another pot. So I have 3 pups here, 3 plant geeks.
So you can give them to your plant
freaking
friends.
out, hoping to get one.
So I'm excited. So I'm just gonna, dig down a little bit, try to get as much as the roots, and then I'll give them, and then they can go ahead and pot them up when they get home.
Awesome.
Another plant that is all over Instagram is watermelon Discidium. I hate it when they use the genus. The scientific name as the common name because sometimes it's like hard for normal people to pronounce. So the scientific name is Discidia ovata, but watermelon Discidia. It's a succulent epiphyte. So what does an epiphyte mean? An epiphyte means that it absorbs water through sometimes leaves, sometimes the stems. And so as it grows, you see in this jade plant that you're starting to see roots start to form at the nodes. And that's going to happen to this plant too. It's just not big enough for it to start happening. This one also prefers bright indirect light. It likes to trail. I'm going to put this one in my terrarium So I am going to pot it up instantly. Both of them have sort of insignificant flowers. So you're really just growing them for the beautifulness of the plant.
Wonderful.
Watermelon Discidia.
Discidia. So I have a jade plant, and it's in a tall sort of vase-like pot.
Mm-hmm.
Does it prefer wide? Because with the roots coming off, it looked like it wanted to go out. Am I making sense at all?
I mean, I would have done a shallow pot
Yeah.
for
I don't think
a succulent, because usually they don't have lots of deep roots.
Okay.
But jades, they like to be pot bound. So I would not
It's
mess
skinny.
with
They get
it.
very top heavy though too. That's why a lot of times you put them more horizontal because they get really full of their own water and they get really on the
Honey,
mineral pot.
I'll be buying a new pot. Okay, all right. So my turn. I have a show and tell, sort of, kind of. I posted a question on Facebook earlier this week asking folks, what do you want to talk about with regard to maybe some seed starting, looking ahead for spring? And Carly wrote in, I've started seeds for years and would love to get a plant from seed to the size of the transplant that we usually have to shell out money for in the spring after ours have failed. Same. My biggest issue is they get really leggy and weak and never really do well. I don't have much in the way of natural light once the seedlings emerge, even though I use a grow light for a while. So she was looking for instructions on how to get healthy transplants. So who's had good luck? Because mine get leggy too. I did lower my light this year because I realized, again, I'm one of those people that's learning right along with you, just messing things up and learning for next time. So keep the light source close. What else can you do to get healthy transplants?
give some air circulation around the plants because having that little bit of disturbance can kind of prompt them to grow a little more sturdy.
Okay, okay.
Thin the seedlings, definitely give them room to grow. If you are growing them in little small pots, don't grow 2 or 3 plants, but only grow one. Go through and just gently pinch those extra seedlings out so they're not shading each other.
Okay.
Goes to this. Don't get in too big of a hurry. A lot of people it's hard to figure out when spring's going to hit sometimes, but a lot of people start the seedlings way too early and then they just get leggy because it's way too far between the start time and putting outside time. So sometimes starting early doesn't gain you anything because you get this big gangly plant like you're describing. But
Even with lights.
yeah, even with light,
Actually, if this person likes to go on YouTube, U of I has a series for community gardens, and then there you can type in University of Illinois Extension Horticulture seed starting, and you can find 3 pretty in-depth YouTube videos on how to start seed and harden seed off and transplant seeds. So if she wants more information, that I actually just watched that one today. And it was pretty good to I'm personally not going to put all my energy into growing seeds.
A lot of
I'm just
people
going to go buy it.
Yes.
Because I used to be a greenhouse grower. We're the experts. We're going to give you this high quality plant. So I'd rather them do it than me.
That's a bias. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. Again, we are live, so give us a call on the lines 333-3495. We do have a call. Rebecca's on the line from Sullivan with a question about Gardenia Care. Rebecca, go ahead.
Yes, I have actually 3 house plants. They're not house plants, but they're in the house this winter. I have a hardy gardenia that I brought in, and it's on a rollers, on a dolly, and I put it out when the temperature is above freezing. I'll put it out in the sunshine. Well, I've noticed that the leaves are losing their glossy dark green, and there's almost a little bit of a frosty look coming on all the leaves, and it's losing a lot of leaves. I do know that it probably has mites, so I would like to know where I can buy that product called Safer. But could you give me some advice on what you think's happening to the gardenia leaves?
Have you looked underneath the leaves at all to see if there's any kind of webbiness, like for spider mites? Because gardenia does tend to get spider mites. Every time I've had it, that's what's happened
Yeah.
at my house. Any garden center should have insecticidal soap, and you can always look online and have it delivered within 2 days.
There you go.
It's
You make sure you spray under the leaves.
right, all surfaces, even the soil.
Gardenias, I haven't raised one of those for a long time. They're notorious. Every time you change the temperature, they lose a lot of leaves. So you may be looking at two different things. You were talking about the leaves all falling. That moving them in and out, they can even do that moving from one room and side of the house to the other. If you get near a heat vent and then go to the cold side of the room, they'll lose leaves.
Interesting.
So that you may be looking at two things:
Couple
leaf
things.
loss
True.
due to shock a little bit, and then the coloring.
And usually when the lower leaves fall off of one of my plants, I feel like it's not enough sun. It's not enough light. I'm thinking maybe there could be a buildup of salt on the leaves. No?
Maybe not
But it has to
seeing
be
it.
over-
I'm not sure.
Overhead
think-
leaf watering, right? Do you does the water get on the leaves?
Oh.
No. Okay.
So we're gonna have. Oh,
Right
she's a-
where the twigs come out of the soil.
do you water from the top, or
No,
do you water?
yes, I do. No, I do.
Okay.
I water from the top of the soil versus let it absorb from the bottom. Shall I
So
do
she
that?
waters correctly.
Yeah.
No,
How-
no,
actually
we're talking about
think-
water on the leaves, but
I actually
Yeah.
think you have it. I think a lot of people think they can just move their plants around, and sometimes when
I
they're
just
Yeah.
remember
They're in a-
gardenia being one of
Yeah.
the most sensitive to
to
that.
draft.
So,
Yeah, I remember that too. And bud drop if you're moving,
Yeah,
if
definitely lose
there's
all
a
the flower
draft on
buds.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would find a bright, sunny window and leave it there and stop moving it.
Okay. All right. Moving to Dyke's question. This is from Kathleen from Bloomington. This also was a Facebook question. Is it bonus? How do I pronounce that?
Bone set.
Bone set. Okay.
Bone
Here's
set.
my bone set from my garden after it was cut back. See how the leaves turned brown and died. Still had generous blooms and lots of insects enjoying it. Anyway, is this a fungus? Is it in the soil? Will the plant be harmed? Can I do anything to prevent it?
Yeah, I was kind of glancing at that picture, and I think what I've raised 2 or 3 kinds of this. If you're not, bone set's a native plant. It's part of the Eupatorium family, or the bigger pink ones would be the Joe Pye weeds. The biggest thing with bone set is it blooms very late. We're talking September blooming. And what happens in most parts of our Illinois, we get too dry.
Sure.
So when you look at that, you see the brown leaves at the bottom, the older leaves, and the green leaves look good and the blooms look good, and talking about attracting the beneficial insects. And that's just Eupatorium getting too dry. So it's not a disease. I think the note said 2 years in a row. That's kind of typical of those Eupatoriums. This is one of those, the bone set that's in that 3 to 4 foot range. There's a couple of different species of them. About all you could really do is do something to retain moisture better, more organic matter, a good layer of mulch in the spring of the year. It's just mainly losing those due to stress. Unfortunately, it's happened the same time it's blooming. That's what's really making you look at it and focus at it. You're getting the dry, but if you picture, we've been having some dry Septembers. And so the plant can go for years and years. It's just frustrating, but more organic matter to help hold in the moisture is about the only thing you're going to do. Not that that's a water plant or a ridiculously wet area, but it just doesn't like how we get bone dry.
Okay. All right, Jen, you've got another show and tell?
Well, I brought show and tell straight from my kitchen counter. This is what I use on my houseplants at home. This is an LED grow light, and these were kind of off of my radar for a while because when they first came out, they were super, super expensive. And I remember looking them up when they were first coming out, and a small fixture was like $150. And I was like, yep, nope, next. But this only costs about $25. And so you can light quite a few plants with it because this bends, and there's a timer included in the mechanism. There's also a clip, so you can clip it to a shelf or whatever. I would like to put these all over my house, and my neighbors will wonder what in the world I'm doing.
Looks like a spaceship over
yes,
there.
or who knows? It's Illinois now in
That's
2020. But you can adjust the timing and the intensity of the lights. And I just have this sitting on my kitchen counter on a terrarium and some succulents, and they're doing quite well. And I also have one that's in a square that I use for seed starting. But so it's just something to consider. They're not as expensive as they used to be, and it might mean the difference between houseplant thriving or just sort of hanging on at your house over the winter.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. So we're going back to the phones. Rebecca, back on the line with a question about fiddle leaf fig. Yes?
How did she
Yes.
know I was going to talk about
Go ahead.
fiddle leaf?
I do have a fiddle leaf fig, and I recently acquired it, and the smaller leaves look very healthy. There are some larger leaves that don't look healthy that I need to remove. But do you have any particular advice on growing fiddle leaf figs so they do have a like more or less of a limb tree effect?
So you are in big time luck tonight because Kelly was going to talk about that.
There you go. She's got it all
Take it
set.
away.
It usually is really a tough plant. It's a floor plant. It likes bright light, so you want to try to give it as much light as you possibly can with a southern exposure or a western exposure window. I would not overwater it. You know, one of the things that people do with houseplants is they over love their plants. More people overwater a plant than underwater a plant. So I would like really pick it up and stick my fingers in the bottom holes before I watered it. So I'd let it get dry before I watered it. Another thing is it doesn't like extreme temperature changes. So maybe it is next to a heat vent. Maybe it's, you know, it's getting some temperature fluctuation next to a window that might make it a little unhappy. And it's sensitive to salts, not on the leaves, but the roots. So before you water it, you go fill up your watering can from the tap. You need to let that water sit on your kitchen counter for 24 hours before you water it.
Oh.
And that will get rid of some of that chlorine and what's the other chemical?
Won't get rid of fluoride.
Yeah.
Sorry. Nerd, but had a moment. So, you know, so some that could be, you know, that temperature fluctuation could be troubling it, and maybe go ahead and set that water out on the kitchen counter for 24 hours.
Okay. All right, we're going to line 2, Daylene in Effingham with a question about amaryllis bulbs.
Hello.
Hi, go ahead.
Hello. I have beautiful amaryllis blooming right now, red ones.
Lucky.
And all 4 of the blossoms are open on the one, and the other one is just going to start opening now. And I wonder what to do with the bulbs then for the summertime, because they don't bloom again till next fall, right?
Right. I am an expert on this.
Take it away.
Sorry. I just go, hey, Jennifer, I'm going to answer the questions tonight. We used to grow amaryllis in the greenhouse all the time. And what we do is during the spring and summer, you treat it normally like a house plant. And then in late summer, what I would do is I would put that pot on its side in a garage and let it completely dry down. Kind of a dormancy, what you're forcing a dormancy. And then what I would do is I would count back how long it takes for that amaryllis to bloom, and it could be 8 weeks or 12 weeks. And I would pull it out. You know, I always wanted it for Christmas, so I would pull it out 8 to 12 weeks before Christmas and start watering it again. So it's one of those where you treat it like a house plant in spring and summer, you know, kind of the middle of summer, you put it in your garage and let it go dormant, and then you pull it out, you know, 8 to 12 weeks before Christmas and start watering it again. Anybody else have any experience?
I take mine out after Christmas because it just seems kind of empty after all the Christmas decorations are put away. So I want something to watch grow while we're waiting for spring.
While you're waiting. Okay, we've got 2 minutes left. And so we had another Facebook question about how to start milkweed. And so Jen, I will defer to you on this one. So if you've got a pod like that, folks are wanting to know when to start, how to start, and what to do.
They need stratification, so they need to have some cold, damp conditions in order to break the dormancy that's in the individual seeds, because these mature late in the season, so you don't want seedlings in October. You want it to be able to wait. So that's the plant's mechanism to survive. One way is to just plant the seeds in the fall, wherever you want them in the garden, and let nature do what it does, because remember, it's a weed. It's found a way to survive on its own without us. Or you can put it in sand or a mix of perlite and vermiculite that's really damp, and keep it in the fridge for a couple weeks, and it'll be ready to germinate in a couple weeks to a month.
So if we were going to plant these for spring, we got a minute left. When should you put them in the freezer?
Not the freezer, the fridge.
The fridge, I'm sorry. Don't do the freezer.
I'd probably do it sometime in March.
Okay, March. And what about the silks and?
Oh, the silks, yeah. You can. So they used to be used in life preservers, life jackets, and there are companies that make hypoallergenic comforters and pillows out of them. And you, if you are a spinner, you can use them to blend with wool and make yarn too.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah,
I've
all
got a
kinds of
ton of those,
uses.
so I'm looking forward to getting those in the fridge.
I thought you were
Getting
going to
them
say
up.
making some
Oh,
comforters
no.
in your spare
Not
time.
Yet, not yet.
Okay.
All right, well, we are out of time. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you to all of you for coming and sharing your expertise with us. Please find us on all of our socials, Facebook and Instagram. Ask questions and send us an email, and we can try to get that answered for you. Thanks for watching. Good night.